Have you done the rest of the Valinor stuff that they finished off like last week or whatever? I feel like I'm watching all my friends have fun from across the room because of these ads. No one else in here but me. Poor fucking beast. It's okay, Beezus. We appreciate you, Beezus. Look, we're holding out the stream for you. You're so special that we're literally waiting to start until you join us. Eating and feel Nirvana. Well, there you go. Perfect book. All right, here we go, guys.
The Emotional Craft of Fiction by Donald Moss is the greatest writing book
$8 and you can join the Cool Club, Beezus.
I mean, it's got 2,500 reviews.
I haven't done the Coliseum, yes. But I've done most of Valinor. Nice.
On Goodreads. But you compare that to Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird, which has 100,000, or Stephen King's On Writing, which has 300,000, and you'll realize this book is criminally underrated. In this book, Donald Moss argues that most writers fail to connect with readers because they're focusing on the wrong questions. It's not about showing versus telling. Really, writers should be doing both showing and telling. And it's not about the quality of the writing. Donald Moss says that even terribly written books can still make him cry, while beautifully written books sometimes leave him very cold and emotionless. It's not even about plot or twists or hooks or tension. And it's not even about characters, even though characters are the thing that readers remember best, and they're probably the closest answer to the question. This is what Donald Moss says is the answer for how writers can really, truly connect with their readers. You must get your readers to go on a
Must get your readers to go on emotional journeys of their own. That's probably the reason why I love anime so much, because that's probably of their own feels like the key part of the phrase. Yeah, the idea that the reader is almost experiencing the world. That's how invested they are in the story. So they're actually in the ride as opposed to like along for the ride, or like part of the ride instead of along for the ride. It's like they are participating in whatever the book is, whatever interaction there is in the book. It's like a self-insert at that point. I don't know. You ever engage with the story and you're like, I don't know if the author wants me to trust this character. Like, you know you'd have a different experience based on your choice of reading. Yeah. That's kind of the thing I want to do with a lot of characters. And a lot of characters don't trust the world itself. And just all around skepticism.
Emotional journeys of their own. Emotion isn't extra. It is the very heart of what you're trying to do in fiction. So let's forget about everything you learned about fiction and try to rebuild from the bottom up, remembering that you're trying to get readers to feel something. So we're going to start with the 3 ways to get readers to feel something in your story. And here is number 1, inner mode. Inner mode is when you relay what the characters are feeling in such an effective way that it makes the reader feel that too. Essentially, this This is telling the reader something. You are telling the reader the character feels sad or feels happy. Let's look at an example from Normal People, written by Sally Rooney, which I actually think is her best novel. She had been sad before, after the film, but now she was happy. It was in Connell's power to make her happy. So this character is speaking very directly about her emotions. I was sad, and now I feel happy. So I will say that this probably isn't the best way to make readers feel something. And I also will say that this is the mode that beginning writers tend to use more often, because it's very easy to simply tell what the character is feeling. But that said, I think there are very good reasons to use this mode whether you're a beginning writer or a very experienced writer. The second way to make your reader feel something is the outer mode. This is when you provoke feeling in the reader by showing the character doing some sort of external act. Of course, that external act is showing their internal state, right? What they're actually feeling. Think about John Wick. After his car has been stolen, after his house has been burned down, after his dog has been murdered, and he takes this sledgehammer and goes to town on the floor in his basement and gets out this cache of guns. We don't get dialogue from him. We don't have him telling us how he feels, but we know the rage he must feel in this moment. Now, I think the outer mode is the best mode of creating emotions in the reader, and I also think it's probably the most frequently used mode as well. If in doubt, use the outer mode, it's gonna work for you. And if you're wondering how to use the outer mode most effectively, here's a little trick that you should use. Pick a point in your story where your character is feeling something really strongly, and then go ahead and write down a list of those emotions. Maybe it's just one emotion, maybe it's a couple of emotions. And then across from that list, I want you to write down actions that would reflect that particular emotion. What can your character do externally to show what they are feeling internally? Now, Donald Moss says that the third mode for showing emotion is other mode. This one's a very tricky one, because what you have to do is you have to make the reader feel something that...
I missed that one.
Tricky one, because what you have to do is you have emotion is other mode. This one's a very tricky one, because what you have to do is you have to make the reader feel something that the character actually isn't feeling. I think of a story like Life is Beautiful, where the main character is very happy-go-lucky and upbeat, but it's set during the Holocaust and World War II and the atrocities. And so what the viewer or the reader is feeling is completely at odds with what the character is feeling. This is probably the most advanced mode. It is the hardest to pull off, and it's probably the one that's used the least out of these three modes. Oh, and by the way, if you want to pick up a copy of The Emotional Craft of Fiction, I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can get your own copy. So now you know the three ways to get emotion into your fiction, but there are some common pitfalls that you can fall into. Here are three problems that you should definitely avoid in your writing, and we're going to start with number one, a lack of intimacy. In the second chapter of his book, Donald Moss talks about why intimacy is so important. To create emotions in the reader, you really have to have the character sort of tear their chest open and be vulnerable and be open. And he calls this the spill the beans moment, when they're just really vulnerable with the reader. And this would probably fall under the inner mode.
That's a very good way to say it.
Being very honest and vulnerable and telling the reader what they feel. Let's look at The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Hazel might play coy with the love interest Gus, but she does not play coy with the reader. Check out this excerpt of what she tells us. I liked Augustus Waters. I really liked him. I liked the way his story ended with someone
Emotional
else.
vomit. Sean,
I liked that
I'm like
he took
100% vulnerable unless I'm
free
drunk.
throws. I liked that he was a tenured professor in the Department of Slightly Crooked Smiles, with a dual appointment in the Department of Having a Voice that made my skin feel more like skin. And I liked that he had two names. It's so honest, it's so vulnerable, it's so straightforward, it's so direct. Have your character think and communicate to the reader raw, unfiltered emotions, because this creates a type of intimacy between the character and the reader will feel more likely to reciprocate with emotions of their own. The second pitfall that Donald Moss identifies is avoid mono emotions. Some writers have a tendency to become hyper-focused upon a single emotion. If you're writing horror, it might be emotion like fear. If you're writing romance,
know how to make Rice Krispie treats. Yes, Sean. That's the one thing I know how to do. Rice Krispies, butter, marshmallows, mix, oven.
be an emotion like love. But consider this, in our everyday lives, we often feel a couple dozen emotions every single day. And so you don't want to flatten that whole host of emotions out to a singular mono emotion. It makes the character seem fake. Now, to avoid that, what this book says is you need to work on bringing up a whole host of what he calls small emotions. Things like contentment, things like boredom, things like melancholy. And really, you're focusing on all those small emotions not only to make the character feel more real, but also as a way to prepare the reader
Not oven, melting mix bowl on stove with pot holders. But that aside, have you ever thought of using Kix instead? I don't know what Kix is. But you just mean like a different kind of cereal other than rice? Rice Krispies? The fuck are Kix? Let's find out what Kix are, guys. Wait, is this like Corn Pops?
the big emotions.
Whoops. Is this like Corn Pops? Dude, this shit's like Corn Pops. Dude, this is fucking Corn Pops. Yeah, this is 100% Corn Pops. Kicks are big round balls with a little sugar in them, basically Corn Pops without the sugar in it. So these are like sugar-free Corn Pops? That sounds disgusting. I don't have a point of reference for these. You've never had Corn Pops? God damn it. Corn Pops. Ah, classic Corn Pops. So sour, it's like they were made of Splenda. Not really a fan of Splenda. But in marshmallow treats, the marshmallow provides all the sugar you need, and then some. Plus, with a larger size cereal, I think it would be an easier chew. I don't know, Sean. I mean, you could try it. 3 big cereals here are probably Wheat Bix, Nutri-Grain, and Milo cereal. Main here is Shreddies, Rice Krispies, and Cheerios. I don't know what Wheat Bix is or Milo, but I know what Nutri-Grain is. But I don't know it as a cereal. I only know it as a bar.
Come along. Now, a third mistake that Donald Moss identifies is focusing on negative emotions. I think most writers intuitively sense that it is much easier to write negative emotions. Things like fear and anger and depression, these are very dramatic emotions. It's very easy to depict the events that happen when you feel this emotion. But the trouble is, if you really only focus on those negative emotions, you're missing a whole side of the spectrum of positive emotions. Think about acts like
Nutri-Grain cereal would be a decent option for marshmallow treats too, but it would be a denser chew. Wow, I feel attacked. How so, book? Did I say something? If I did, my bad.
And self-sacrifice and radical acts of kindness. From Katniss Everdeen volunteering to be the tribute and take her sister's place, to the
it's true, book, but that's just the way it is.
The book thief. You want to make
sure the whole point of your book is to make the smallest wins seem like miracles because of how far down the character is. At least that's the vibe I get from it. I don't know how to explain Wheat Bix, but it's a cereal brick. Wait, what the fuck? You put a whole granola bar? I'm now going to write a book about war as well. Hell yeah, book. You take an entire granola bar and you put it in cereal. whole grain. Oh, you know what I mean, a bar. Like a cracker or something like that. That's not... Like, you might as well just dip that like a cookie. You put a whole grain... Too many twos. Book reminded me of being in a hot tub that was freshly shocked, trying to keep your head out of the fumes and being grateful for every little puff of wind that came along.
You are not only pounding the drumbeat of negative emotion, negative emotion, negative emotion. You want to give readers a chance to take a breather and see some really positive emotions that their character is feeling and feel some really positive emotions themselves.
Me book
okay, so
or
now you
book
know the three ways.
I think you book. Well, I'm not sure.
Ways to create emotions. Now,
Wheat Bix are the cereal in New Zealand and Australia. Book. That's the feeling I'm going for.
you know 3 mistakes that you should definitely avoid at all costs. And now we're going to go on to 5 strategies that you can use to help get more emotion into your book. Number 1 is absolutely key, and it is the emotional plot. So Donald Moss says to stop plotting based on external realities and start plotting based on emotional realities. Let's look at the public external stakes of a movie like Die Hard, where you have terrorists who have taken over the Nakatomi Plaza on Christmas Eve, because it's a Christmas movie, obviously, and they're holding everyone hostage. But what are the personal or more emotional stakes in this movie? You have this great internal motivation from John McClane. You have all this emotional tension between him and his estranged wife. Is he proving himself to her in some way? His vigilantism and his disregard for authority, is that one of his strengths or is it a weakness of his? There's a whole emotional arc of his storytelling which is mirroring the external plot. To write more emotionally, make sure your characters are fueled or powered by some sort of internal angst, something that they need to prove to themselves. As Donald Moss says, treat plot events as emotional opportunities. The second strategy to make sure your readers feel something is the emotional hook.
Good news for y'all. I now will have 9 more books that are equally as depressing. Hell yeah! I love it, book. I love depressing, fucked up shit. You 9 books planned? 9 more books! That's 10 books.
Thing is the emotional hook. When writers think about beginning their book, they often think of terms of a plot hook, right? What is the idea that starts the plot and gets the reader immediately invested in the story?
Well, the kind of plot emotional hook in my book is kind of like fear and like suspense, I guess, and mystery. Because you don't know, like, Husai thinks he's being blackmailed, but he doesn't have any information. He doesn't know what this means. You know? It's an investigation now. Struggling to even plan my second, even a large amount of plot ideas. Well, Beezus, if you ever need any help, me and Book talked yesterday because she was stuck on the story, and now she has 9 more books planned. So if that says anything... I'm not here to toot my own horn or anything, but you know, I love facilitating ideas, so I'm glad it helped, Book. It was really fun. So if you ever want to shoot some ideas back and forth, Beezus, I know you've kind of been hiding your work, though. I forgot, were Book and Beezus in chat when we mentioned my twins idea? I don't think so, Sean, but that's a good idea. You want me to pitch it? Because that's a great emotional, like, arc you can play with in the overarching story of something else, right? If you remember it, otherwise I'll retype it. Basically the idea is that it's twins. One's a boy, one's a girl, but they're both, like, trans, so they're both like kind of jealous of the other one because the other one has the body that they want, and it's like this huge like emotional conflict between them kind of thing. But it's only like a smaller piece of a larger story. Freud would have a field day. I'm actually down for it, but I'd prefer to pay for the time you waste. Beezus, then, like, donate some bits if you want. I don't think it's a waste of time. I love talking and, like, you know, even if you didn't want to do it on stream, I'm still down. You want to share some ideas and NDA that shit and I won't talk about it. Loving yet hating their sibling for being what they want to be. I have no problem wasting his time. See, there you go. Book's got the spirit. My time isn't worth anything. So, it's all good. I bought his first book. I own his ass for the rest of time. It's true. It's true. Book was the first. She set it all off, and now it's a cascading effect where I'm a published author. Oh my fucking god! How? What? Oh shit, Beezus just subscribed! Oh my god, Beezus! Thank you, what? Oh, it's because we hit a goal. We hit a goal of 10 subscribers. Oh my fucking god, guys.
You get the boys. I'll take care of these guys.
Are you sure? There's an awful lot of them.
They hit me with a truck.
They hit me with a truck. So yeah, the twins idea is free for anyone to add to the story if they want. Now you're a real streamer. Yay, I'm a real streamer, guys! Fuck yeah! Let's go, boys! I'm a real streamer now. I hit my subscriber goal. Yay! Thanks, Beezus. I really appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So yeah, if you ever want to go over your book, whether online or offline, hit me up in the Discord or something. I'll NDA and zip my lips on that shit and just throw some ideas at you. Doesn't fit any of my current work in progress, but if I remember it, I think it's super cool. Yeah, I thought it was a great dynamic. And it doesn't have to be overly pushy in any way. You know, it could just be a thing. What's up, Callie? I have these links to articles with writing advice, but I don't know what channel to post them in. Okay, I guess we don't have one of those, so let me add one. There, we have a new channel called Writing Tips and Tricks. I'm going to start posting all of the Bookfox videos in here as well. Perfect. Perfect. Resources for writers to learn and improve. Can I pin this? Pin message. Yeah, pin it. Wait, did it not? I don't know where it went. Hopefully it'll stay. The whole point is it stays. Right? Nice. There we go. We got a bunch of stuff in there. Epic, guys. I love it. Resources for people to use. I did. If you didn't sing that to Barbie by Aqua, at least in your head, I'll be sad. I'm a streamer girl in a streamer world. Life is static. It's fantastic. You can tweak my hair and dox me everywhere. Litigation. That's my life sensation. Yeah, the voice is not practiced very well. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Like it's plastic, it's fantastic. True. I've heard worse. Fair enough. Fair, I'll take that. Fair enough, Levi.
Storyline. But
Let's
what
move on.
Thomas points out is that you also
shit.
need an
Yeah, ads coming
emotional
up.
hook. Look at the first lines of The Stranger by Albert Camus. Mother died today, or maybe yesterday. I can't be sure. Yes, we're getting the inciting incident, like, oh, his mother died, but we're also getting this weird emotional friction, like, why is he so cavalier and nonchalant about his mother's death, not even knowing when she died? It makes us wonder about his emotional state. It makes us wonder about the relationship between him and his mother. Or
Cat
look
dying,
at the
nope,
emotional
me
hook
seeing.
in Barbara Kingsolver's Demon Copperhead. This is a book about the OxyContin crisis, and the book opens with a drugged out mother who is giving birth on the floor of a bathroom. And while she is unconscious, completely hopped up on drugs, the baby comes out and is born on this bathroom floor. As readers, we immediately feel this huge amount of pity for this poor baby born to this drug-addled mom. And that is in the second paragraph. So it's definitely
Floating
working as this
baby in
emotional
space.
hook to get us immediately involved.
Incest
in
space
the
baby
OxyContin
from Rick and
crisis.
Morty.
The third emotional strategy is to
Summer and
keep
Morty's incest space baby. Readers on the roller coaster.
on the roller coaster. This is mainly about emotional pacing and making sure you're creating a variety of emotional ups and downs throughout your story. Before you have something good happen in your story, have something terrible happen. And before you have something terrible happen in your story, have something very good happen. Basically, a zigzag up and down throughout your story is much more effective for the reader than having 4 things in a row of really good things and then 4 terrible things happening in a row. It is the contrast of negative.
Ooh, sperm floating in space. This is actually toothpaste. Pop it in your mouth and figure it out.
And positive things that you have happening in your book that make the reader feel things even more intensely. For example, in George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, we have the Red Wedding. So everything is going swimmingly. We have someone who's happily pregnant, everyone is celebrating and seeming to mend political fences, and then one of the most shocking massacres ever. Another example is in The Lion King, where you
Sometimes you have a series of good things to build up suspicion in the audience. Yep. But I think he just means with the emotional plotting. Fuck with the audience's head. Yeah, exactly.
have young Simba.
That's what I want to do with Zayd, where it's like, throughout the entire book, I've set up this very specific process for how people join the party and become, like, a main character. And Zayd is literally set up like that, and then he's just killed off. So the reader's expecting, after this massacre at Garuda, Zayd's gonna become a party member. Nah, he just fucking dies. Oof.
At the top of his game.
Oof.
He is roaring, he is learning how to be a true king, and then immediately after that is when his father Mufasa dies while trying to save him in the gorge. A fourth strategy when coming up with ways to make your readers feel emotions is trying emotional mapping. So there are limitations to traditional outlining. I don't know whether you're an outliner or whether you're more
Spoilers!
of a pantser, but you know, when
Like,
you
you
have
kept expecting major cataclysm in my cat version story, but the only thing that blew your mind was when you realized she was preggers. True, Sean. And that's just like the slice of life features, right? Where it's like the stakes aren't on the external, they're on the internal.
list of bullet points that communicates the plot, but doesn't necessarily communicate the underlying emotional realities. So Moss suggests that instead you should try an emotional mapping of your storyline. And here's how you do that. You put all your characters in a circle on a page, and then you draw arrows between characters who have changed one another. Now, if you don't end up with a lot of arrows between characters, that's a sign that you're not doing enough emotional work between characters in your novel. And you should also look at any characters that don't have lines drawn between them and think, all right, is there some sort of influence that they should be having on one another?
Fuck you, Sean. Now I have Barbie Girl stuck in my head. Everything was going perfectly for her and those in her life, and then...
another. Most importantly, make sure that the main character in your book, if there's a singular main character, has a lot of lines, both drawn away from him, he's impacting others, or she's impacting others, and lines drawn toward him or her. They are being impacted by other main characters in the novel. And the fifth strategy when making your readers feel emotion is to risk melodrama. There's always a
risk melodrama.
tension when you're writing fiction, where you want dramatic events in your storyline, but you don't want to veer over into melodrama, which is like cheesy, over-the-top sort of dramatic events. And you need to figure out which way you lean towards. If you understand you lean toward melodrama, then maybe you need to dial it back a little bit. And if you tend to avoid melodrama too much, then maybe you need to pump up the emotions in your book. There's this great movie by Casey McKinnon called Candles on Bay Street. Dee Dee returns to her hometown and starts up a candle making business, but reveals that she's going to die soon. Her friend Sam, who had a crush on her when she was young, is a veterinarian and has access to drugs that can end her life, so they get together and decide to have sort of a euthanasia party. In that moment, in that night, as they're preparing to end her life, the entire town comes out holding aloft the candles that she sold to them. It's such a wonderful tribute to her and the impact that she made on these people.
You gotta fuck you, you gotta fuck you, and you gotta fuck you. Fuck you for you, and a fuck you for you, and a fuck you for you, and a fuck you for me.
I think you need to
fuck you for him.
The melodramatic in order to make sure that
you're crazy. Bookfox lives like 10 minutes away from me. Wait, what, Beezus? How the fuck do you know that? I'm like, wait, what? His fucking address posted somewhere? He say where he lives? Yeah, when he was talking about where he lived in an earlier video. Can you do me a favor of the dog fecal kind? That's actually fucking hilarious, Beezus. That's crazy. If you ever see him, flaming dog poop on his step. Oh my god, that'd be crazy, dude. Be like, dude, I watch your videos via proxy through this streamer that I watch.
Just as much risk in your book from not going for that emotional moment, because then the reader's going to finish the book and be like, like, whatever, it was okay. Take the emotional risk in your book. Take it. I want to end on this one essential quote from Moss. The most important work you do in writing your novel is the work you do on yourself. Do not forget that in order to be good at creating emotions on the page, you have to have a black belt in your own emotional state.
Well, that's my kind of thing, is I'm such an emotional person. It's like I can just easily dive myself into something. But that puts me at risk of not connecting with the audience because I'm too emotional. It makes me emotional, but doesn't make people that are not super emotional. So it's like, how emotional does it have to make me before it's like acceptable to the average person?
Your motivations in life. What sort of contradicting emotions do you feel? And what do you feel the strongest emotions about in life? If you have a good sense of your own emotional tidal pools and a good sense of your own emotional journey, whether through journaling or through talking with a therapist, I think you're going to be much better equipped to create those emotional journeys of your characters.
True. Alright, that's Bookfox for you guys. We'll give him a like, give him a view, so no one the poop, I assume. Not my area of expertise. Look back, leaned into melodrama more than not, and it was phenomenal. I don't know what look back is. I work on septic tanks, so I have no lack of poop. It's true, Beezus. Alright.